Hello everybody and welcome to another Sandra and Lisa challenge. This time we are going to do some canvases in mixed media style. So I think it's an 8.5 by 11 or something to that effect canvas that I've had sitting around for a while. And I have a ton of these flowers, like I think I got these from I Am Roses, and I just wanted to use up a whole bunch of stuff, and like Tim Holtz stuff, I have a whole bunch of Tim Holtz too, and I just wanted to use up a lot of that stuff. So I had this idea in my head of something that I wanted to do for a picture of me and my daughter. So I'm just kind of placing down some of the letters that I chose. So I picked this nice scripty font and then a very, I don't know what you want to call it, like a very typographical straight font, if that makes sense. So just to make sure that everything was straight, I'm just taking my T-square ruler and then just going to draw a line, and I'm using a charcoal pencil. And honestly, I'm not really worried about the pencil line showing up just because I'm going to cover everything. So I wasn't worried about colors at this point, and I'll explain that to you in a little bit. So to put everything down, I wanted to make sure whatever glue I was using, I wasn't going to have to worry about whether it's glossy or anything that would resist any paint or gesso or anything like that. So I'm using the golden matte medium, and it's a little bit fluid, but it does help kind of keep everything where it needs to be. So you can see I'm just messing around with the placement of my letters just to make sure I have everything right. And then I'm just gluing everything down with that matte medium. So I'm just going to fast forward a little bit, and you're going to see me just kind of putting down the ends of the end of this word. So the title is going to be Forever, First My Daughter, Forever My Friend. And I overlapped some of the descending and ascending letters, so that way they kind of make the title all flow together. So and then I'm just gonna dry the matte medium, which honestly it doesn't take that long. And just to keep in mind, I haven't done anything to the canvas at this point. I haven't pre-done anything. There's no gesso or anything on here. It is all just straight on the canvas. And the reasoning why will be explained very, very shortly. So I have these mistable hexagons from Studio Calico, and I was just going to try and use up some of them. And I put some in these in the bottom corner here, but honestly they get covered up. So that part is not going to make a huge hell of a difference, but I wasn't sure where everything was going to sit at this point, so I just wanted to make sure I had it in the corners where I wanted stuff to be. So I'm just going to start, hot gluing stuff down, and then you can kind of see I have some stuff laid out, and I wanted to add a little bit of texture on the background. So I'm again taking the matte medium, the matte medium, and I'm just kind of pouring it over top just because I wanted it to soak into that lace. So I've got a couple different kinds of trims, and I'm just laying them down and using the matte medium over top to seal it into the canvas. And I would love to take credit for this idea, but actually this idea I saw Korean Crafts 83, who's Alicia Tillman, and she did this a while ago, and I love the idea of this when I saw her do it, and I wanted to kind of do my own take on it, but I love the concept, I love the idea, so I just wanted to kind of play around and see what I could come up with. So again, just using the matte medium and laying down strips of this ribbon. And then in my stash, I also had these paper craft strips. These are from Close to My Heart, and they are old. I've had them for years, and I'm like, you know what? I just like adding that little bit of extra, you know, kind of texture, because it's different than the lace. It's a little bit more defined, whereas the lace is kind of a little softer. So I liked adding the different kind of, I don't know, the textures, the look, the feel of it. So yeah, I added a whole bunch of different things. So again, just adding some lace and some of these strips. And just, again, just keep layering and using the matte medium to kind of seal everything in. And then I set that aside to dry overnight. So this was one day. I think this took me about 3 to 4 days to make. So this was the first day, just laying everything down. And then I let that dry, and this is the next day. And I've got some gesso here, and I am just going to go over top of everything I have right now and just do a really, really thin coat of the gesso. At this point, I wasn't too worried about how thick it was because I knew I was going to go over it quite a few times. So yeah, you can just see it's going to kind of blend everything together and just make everything all one layer. That way you don't have to worry about what colors you use or anything like that. You're just basically looking for texture on the canvas at this point. So again, just going over everything with the gesso. So I let that dry, and then after it was dry, I came back and I started adding layers and layers and layers and layers. So basically I started in one corner, and I'm going to work my way across and up. And I think I'll show it in a minute here, but I kind of planned out where I'm going to put my picture. So I fast forwarded a little bit just so you didn't see everything I had. My camera was dying, so I fast forwarded a bit. But basically you can see all the different flowers and chipboard and metal embellishments from Tim Holtz. And I've got a piece of canvas there that I'm going to mount my picture on. And I have it kind of nestled in that title there. So yeah, at this point, I'm not even worried about colors and whether it goes together or not. And honestly, the colors that are all here, they do all go. Flowers, it's one of those things where it doesn't matter what color it is. Flowers always seem to go well together. It doesn't matter what color they are. So again, just kind of filling in holes with certain elements. If I see like a hole where I want, you know, a piece hanging down, I'll just try and find a little piece to fit in there. And I did get some, I think they were resin or they were made with Mod Podge. I can't remember. Anyway, I got them from Tiffany Westbrook a while ago, and when I saw them, I'm like, oh, that'll create awesome texture. So I used, I think I used all of them up. I really liked how they added like still a floral element, but a different texture, not like a soft. They were a little bit more rigid. So yeah, so again, I'm just going over everything with the white gesso just to kind of, like I said, to blend everything out. And that one flower really, really bled with the red on it. So I go over it several times, and all it did was just really soften the red on it, but that's okay. It'll just add a little bit of extra color to it. But yeah, I went over it several times, but it's still bled. And I didn't want to use white paint because I wanted to have some other little techniques that I'm going to use to this canvas, and I was worried if I used the paint it wouldn't have the same look as the gesso. So just because gesso's matte finish and acrylic paint has a glossier finish, so I didn't want to, you know, have a different finish on that one flower. So again, you're just going to see little stages going on here. Pardon me. So you can see I'm just coming back in again and adding some more little elements. And like I said, I'm using tons of Tim Holtz products. Like there's those, I think they're called dials or something like that. They look like water spout tabs. So, and they added quite a bit of dimension, but I still liked, using them. And I've got some bottle caps that are upside down, and some numbers and wood veneers, and some corrugated shapes. And then there's that butterfly that's kind of like I think it's chipboard. And then I had like a whole bunch of these other little embellishments. Like I had a keychain that says Bali, Italy or something like that. And I liked how it was still a heart and it had, some really fun looks to it. So I added that in. Added a couple more. I think these ones are Marion Smith or Prima or something like that. And again, just filling in holes. So if you're looking for a project that will use up a ton of, dimensional elements and such, this is an awesome project for it. So it's just fill in holes with with the products that you have. And it felt very accomplishing using up a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, you can just see I have a whole bunch of stuff off to the side, and you can see I'm just trying to fill in as much as I possibly can. And it's nice to have everything all spread out, so that way you can just kind of rifle through and, find a couple things that are kind of neat to fill in. And you can see I'm going back and I'm adding a couple things. Like these bottle caps, I added some beads to them. And FYI, wait for the glue to dry before you paint over top, because I didn't on the one and kind of made a little bit of a mess, but you can't even tell now because everything's painted over. Again, just filling in holes. Got some metal charms from Tim Holtz, some, pen nibs, lots and lots of flowers and leaves. So yeah. And then that's the picture I'm going to be using. I'm just checking to see if there's anything else I want to do to it. And here I'm just going over with paint. And I'm not going to bore you with all of the details of that. So you're going to see this is what it's going to look like when it's finished with all the gesso. I did a couple layers. And I'm using some Heidi Swapp ink and Mr. Huey's. I think I'm using the Dewy by Mr. Huey's. It's called Citron Heidi Swapp. I used the gold lame, which didn't show up all that well. I used the turquoise or Tropicana teal. I used the Perfect Pearls Miss Sunflower Sparkle. Tattered Angels Mist in the Spring Violet. I also used Perfect Copper Mist and Blue Patina Mist. And I just added a whole bunch and then just kind of daubed off a little bit. And then I would go back in and, add a little bit more. I didn't want it to be too bright. I wanted it to be a little bit softer. So if I daubed off some stuff, I could still get a soft look, but still the mist would seep into those deep grooves, and it would add a little bit of extra dimension to all those pieces, which that's kind of what you want it to do. You kind of want it to sink into the holes, and then it'll hold that color, and then the top part will be kind of muted and matte. So you can just see that, as I'm going along, I'll just add, some more mist. And I put a lot of the sunflower over top just because that Perfect Pearl Mist, it doesn't have a color to it. It just leaves a sparkle. And the gold mist, the Heidi Swapp gold mist didn't show a lot of the gold, but the sunflower sparkle did. So I was using that instead. So I'm just going to add some pop dots to the back of this picture, and honestly, later I'll probably go in and add some hot glue. It's just not staying as well as I like it to, so I definitely will do that later. But here you're just going to get a close-up look at all the dimension and the texture, and I really love how this turned out, and I would love to do another one. I think I might do one for Sandra and her mom. So, but yeah, I think it turned out awesome, and I'm really happy with the results. So here are the close-ups of the canvas, and I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!